That was so dope. I feel like I got a talk show intro. Y'all like that little intro? Good morning. It's Aisha T. Hill, and there might be a delay. We're live right now on multiple platforms. But I made that little intro a little while ago. I wish this had live captions. That's the only thing that's missing. I'm really working on with the team on how to be as accessible as possible, right? We're going to talk a little bit about that before we read. I'm Aisha T. Hill. I am the curator, creator of the Check Your Privilege platform, the Heal Your Way Forward Collective, author of Heal Your Way Forward, and just all around compassionate, fun loving, neurodivergent, chronically ill, and disabled Black woman hollering at y'all these internet streets. My work is the intersection of healing, um, healing, transformative justice, and reparative justice, if I have to throw a justice word. But I am someone who does not like claiming that I am from the social justice industrial complex because of my lived experience. It is very harmful. There is a lot of othering, and I am a person that if I'm going to teach, I need to teach from lived experience, and I need to own my collusion with the interlocking systems of oppression, or as Bell Hooks would call it, imperialist, capitalist, white supremacist, and Mary Fashek added ableist patriarchy. Because all of these systems impact all of us, and we are all ravaging each other with these systems. The difference is if you're a person in a white body, your level of marginalization is not the level of mine and other folk. So yeah, just trying something a little different today. Thank you all for watching the live with me. I forgot I had created this when Sonia Macy had died, because I was going to really build on the YouTube channel, and it was just too much. But one of the things I've been thinking about is, like, where do we go from here? So Monday was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We're getting ready to get into Black History Month, and I'm always thinking about the question Dr. King poses: where do we go from here? And so after watching the talk, which I think I can pull it up here, after watching Dr. Bernice King on Monday and listening to some of the things that she shared, I think the most important message from Dr. Bernice King and Pastor William Barber, was like, we ain't going back. We're not going back. We heard Kamala say that, and we're moving forward. And so for me, when I think of forward, I think of, that sounds familiar. Isn't that a book? Isn't that something that I know very well, which is this idea of healing our way forward? And so I am going to spend some time today. I don't know if this is going to work on an Instagram. We're going to find out. I'm going to see if you all can see it. But I'm going to get up every morning and I'm going to read Heal Your Way Forward until we finish the whole book. And I'm going to try to do it every day at 8 a.m. Let's hope I can be consistent. There are going to be some days that, because of my chronic illness, I'm not going to be able to do it, but we're going to pick up where we left off. And for accessibility purpose, I want to try to read it and share the screen at the same time. So I don't know if you can see this on Insta. Oh, you can see it. Oh my God, that's so cool. You can see it. Oh, this is dope. Trying to be accessible, because it's one thing for me to hold the book open and read it, but it's another thing when you can follow along. Now, I don't know if I can make it bigger, but today, like, thinking of Dr. King and thinking of William Barber and Bernice A. King and the time that I do have, if they said we ain't going back, we got to go forward, then the conversation really is, as I've been saying for years, this work is healing work. And we have to heal our way forward towards I would change the name to a reparative future more than an anti-racist future. And I can talk about that later too. And so we're going to read this. It'll stay on all of the platforms. It'll be on Instagram, etc. But I do want to read this with you all, because I think we're at a moment where do we go from here? Oh my gosh, what do we do? How do we do it? And also celebrating that Heal Your Way Forward is coming out on paperback in like a month and a half. And so just really want to like empower you to read with me. And also, one thing you can do with me besides read is like pre-order the paperback, like my little fancy thing you give to my time today too. But you could also pre-order the paperback version of Heal Your Way Forward, because it's a good book. My next book, if y'all think Heal Your Way Forward was good, wait till you read the next one, because the next one, and then the one after that, because I got a little theme going on here. The next book, and then the one after that, and then the one after that. It's like, as an author or a writer, you always look at your work and you're like, okay, bam, bam. This book was like, bam. The next book, though, y'all ain't ready for that. That one is gonna hit international waters. I'm claiming it. We gonna do the damn thing. But today we're like gonna order. We're gonna talk about healing our way forward. We're gonna read. We are going to do it. I don't know how long these sessions are gonna last. Thank you for asking that question. I'm gonna read till I'm fatigued. And as somebody who is recovering from long COVID, I might read for 5 minutes. I might read for 10 minutes. But every day I'm gonna try to bookmark where we left off, because we're gonna read it as a collective. We're gonna read it together. Now, if you're someone who's like, that's cute, we can read together. Yeah, we're gonna read together. So this is the cover. Trying my visual description. Before I even do that, I am a Black and Indigenous woman settled on Southern Paiute land, which is home of the Southern Paiutes, also known as Henderson, Nevada. Some people call it Hendertucky. But I want to say, before I start reading, I want to give reverence to my ancestors and my elders, both Black and Indigenous, because when it comes to land, I have to name that I am a body that was stolen from land and a body that had land taken from them. And so for me, land is in my body. And when I think of land reverence and how, when I look at my genealogy, my great grandparents were farmers and they helped cultivate the soil of the land, and the labor of my parents. And the community that reared me, I have to give reverence to honor them and the land. And so we begin. So this is Heal Your Way Forward, the Co-Conspirator's Guide to an Anti-Racist Future. Maisha T. Hill, what's poppin'? That's me. I'm the founder of Check Your Privilege. Title page. Shout out to Row House Publishing, my publisher for this book. And I dedicated my book to myself. I dedicate this living work to myself as a radical act of self-love. I have finally come home to myself, and to anyone who I have caused harm to while trying to find myself as a neurodivergent Black woman in an imperialist, capitalist, white supremacist, ableist world, and to all embodying the practice of being whole and human, and in the essence of Ubuntu, I am because you are. So I've dedicated this book to myself. I've dedicated to anyone who I caused harm to by trying to survive as a Black woman. And I dedicate it to all of us, the collective, who are trying to practice being whole and human and not artificial intelligence. Because in the essence of Ubuntu, I am and I exist because you are and you exist. Okay. I don't know how this looks. So this part is always hard to read. This part's always hard to read, but I'm going to do my best. We're going to start on this side. I want my work to be about healing. That is a quote from Bell Hooks. So it says that on December 15th, 2021, I was shaken by the death of Bell Hooks, along with the rest of the world. I spent a couple of days on a roller coaster of grief, cycling through emotions. I felt sorry for not visiting Bell Hooks at Berea College, and shame and blame riddled me as I questioned if I'd adequately credited the great elder, now ancestor, for inspiring so much of my work. And so now I ponder at this moment, where do I go from here? How do I accept this loss and grow from it? First, remember, this work is about healing. This work should be rooted in love, and love is, in fact, the work. Bell Hooks said, right now, there is such a profound collective cultural awareness that we need to practice love if we are to heal ourselves and the planet. The task awaiting for us to move from awareness to action, the practice of love, requires that we make time, that we embrace change. Bell Hooks was calling us to the practice of love. I want to thank her for inspiring me to move into a love ethic, for calling me into something bigger than myself, and for teaching me that as a Black woman, my words are poignant and powerful, and that writing can be a healing journey. And like Bell Hooks, I want to be remembered not for who I am, but for the work that I've done in the world. And may the words of this book bring forth divinely inspired transformation, restoration, and justice. Bell Hooks, I thank you for being. Rest well, ancestor, Maisha T. Hill. See, the great thing about reading this book live with y'all is that I can actually even talk about where my head was. So it's like I could do like a teach-in of my own book. This is crazy. This is wild. So here's some things I want to point out. And I'm going to pause here because on Instagram there is a comment that says, "Will I post the pages I cover?" Oh, it'll be on YouTube and it'll be on the Instagram page and it will also be on the Facebook. So for those of you watching live, I'm going to stop sharing for a second. No, actually, I'm going to reshare. I want to say something that's really interesting that people ask me all the time. And one of those things that I'm often asked is, where were you? Like, what were you thinking when you wrote this part of your book? Like, what was in your head? What were you thinking about? So I remember that before I was like finishing my edits and I was out of the country, and I said, when I get back, I'm gonna reach out to Bell Hooks. I'm gonna go to the Bell Hooks Institute. I'm gonna go to Berea College, and then bam, she passed away, and I was like, oh shit! Like I literally, you can ask my whole family. I went through like such a hard time that I did not just reach out before I left where I was out the country. And I had promised myself, and I had recently posted on Threads. I said, if there's ever anybody I want to work with or like connect with or go live with, I'm just gonna reach out to them. I don't care about my dyslexia. I'm also dyslexic. I don't care about my disability. I'm just gonna say, hey, I love your work. This is how it impacted me. Can we connect? And I didn't get a chance to do that. So I had to like really like read all about love, go through my notes, and it took me to this actual fact that love is the work. And when I read this quote that she says that right now that there is such a profound collective cultural awareness that we need to practice love if we are to heal ourselves and the planet, I think about like what we're being called to in this moment, which is collective healing and moving forward. And I also think about that. Oh, you're reading it with me? Oh, that is so special. Sorry, I got distracted by a comment. I'm also live on Instagram, so you all can't see it. Someone said they're reading along with me as I'm reading. Ooh, well, we can call this read along with Maisha T. Hill. ADHD, circle back, come back. This is how I am in real life. Okay, so in this quote here, where Bell Hooks says, right now, there is such a profound collective cultural awareness that we need to practice love if we are to heal ourselves and the planet. And the task awaiting us is to move from awareness to action. And the practice of love requires that we make time and we embrace change. Okay, spiritually speaking, it is the year of the 9. It is the year of the snake. It is, if you believe in the Orisha, we think of Oya, we think of rapid change. So when I think what Bell Hooks was trying to prepare us for, because oftentimes when there are authors that have passed on or even still living, like their work impacts the moment, but it actually impacts the future. You see that with Octavia Butler in real time. So right now, there is a cultural awareness that we need to practice love if we are to heal ourselves and the planet. And when you think about ourselves and the planet right now, right, we have fires in LA and San Diego. We have other global catastrophes, earthquakes. We have pollution of our oceans and in our water. Like in Japan, like I just want you all to know that there is, they are releasing harm into the Pacific Ocean. So we have impacts of our oceans. Our oceans are being also impacted with climate change. So it's changing where like sharks and whales and dolphins, how they migrate and their migration patterns. And so when I read this work by Bell Hooks, she's absolutely right. Like right now, and there's other things happening in the world. There are these things being signed and these other things happening that I don't know what happens when I say certain things on social media because of the algorithm. There are things happening in the United States of America, okay, that is fueling our fear because it's scary. There are some scary things happening. But my awareness and practices love is you gonna write what you gonna write, and I'm gonna do what I want to do. So let me just stop sharing so I can help you out. So I can kind of code interpret. And if you know me, you might have to interpret in the comments because a lot of white folks might not get what I'm saying. There are some things happening in the United States of America where there is someone who is writing some things down on paper. And that person, you can write what you write and you can say what you say on a federal level. However, as a whole embodied human being, I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to, if someone says, my name is such and such, my pronouns are, I'm going to be like, what's up, such and such? Let me respect your pronouns. If you thought pronouns were a game, oh, it's no big deal. You want to know how you fight back? A lot of y'all are like, oh my God, what? You respect a person who walks into a room and says, please address me by this. 1. 2, there's an acronym that has been banded at a certain level. Reclaim what that acronym means to you. A person can sign what they want to sign. But as long as I know my federal constitution, my state constitutions, I am not breaking any federal laws and I am not breaking any state laws. If a person is in choice of who they are, what they want to be, and how they want to be addressed, I'm going to do it. And as far as a certain acronym is concerned, I know how to move around it. Hence, heal your way forward. I want you to think about that. We are going to say, heal your way forward, because heal your way forward. Like, I can't say certain acronyms like something. So I'm going to be saying heal your way forward, because that's going to be helpful for us moving forward, because all we have is forward. We're getting ready to see a rapid cycle of changes. All right. A rapid cycle of changes. And what Bell Hooks wrote is for us to come into collective consciousness. Where's that? To know that the call is love. So by me addressing someone by their preferred pronouns, I get to say I show love by respecting your pronouns. I show love that if your school is defunded, I show love by teaching you how to heal your way forward with your kids. I help you by creating a after-school Minecraft club for kids about healing your way forward. I just want to know that the way that we resist is to be creative, to pursue joy, and to flip the script. But it has to be rooted in love, healing ourselves, and healing our planet. All right. So I'm getting this in real time as I read this, as I wrote it. So I wrote this. What's the word that they use? It's a big fancy word, epigraph. I wrote this epigraph, and because I said I gotta write something for Bell Hooks, like, because I know in the ancestral realm, she can hear it, right? The ancestors, they hear us. Okay, they're always with us, and I wanted to acknowledge like the profound impact that this woman had on my life. Like, for me to be neurodivergent, and I was in university, and I learned of her work, and it was so easy for me to understand. Where when I read other dense work and academic papers, it takes me a long time to process. But her work was so helpful for me with my neurodivergence that it really shifted and changed how I can even speak about it and how I can even live it. So when she says that love is the work, like, love is the work. It really is. And it is a work of learning how to love ourselves by deprogramming from our early childhood experiences and inner teenager, and then relearning. So we unlearn to deconstruct and we relearn. All right. So that is the epigraph. That is the first part of Heal Your Way Forward. Also, just want to throw in, you are always welcome to pre-order the paperback version of Heal Your Way Forward. All right, let's go. So the forward was written by my dear friend, AC Brown. And if you're on Instagram, I'm going to tag AC, so you can follow AC Brown and see who AC Brown is and learn more about about their work. So the forward was written by AC Brown. It's very important that you all know that. And AC and I go way, way back. And AC was somebody I was like, I'm finna do this thing. Like, we've been friends for so long that I'm finna do this thing. And she'd be like, oh boy, here we go. And so when I first told her about Check Your Privilege, she was like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure that you're sure that you're sure? And so let's read this forward by AC Brown. This is from 4 years ago. So on May 25th, 2020, a video was uploaded on social media. Another unarmed Black man was killed in broad daylight at the hands of cops. But this time was more traumatic. As George Floyd called out for his mother while a cop had his entire body weight kneeling on his neck, cutting off his circulation. It went viral, and Black and brown people experienced yet another trauma. I tried not to watch the video, but I did. We all tried not to watch it, but we did. Now that day is forever imprinted on our minds. As a young Black girl, I seen videos on the news of Rodney King getting beaten by the police. And later in life, I'd seen Eric Gardner shout out the words, "I can't breathe," while being put in a chokehold as he was getting arrested. But George Floyd was different. The image of him lying on the ground, not resisting, was different. What stood out the most was the look on Derek Chauvin's face. I was familiar with it, the look of superiority. He looked into the camera and didn't care. Even as the cameras recorded him, there was no fear. It immediately brought tears to my eyes as I flashed back moments of getting pulled over by the cops and calling my friend or my parents so they could listen in just in case anything happened to me, even though I'd done nothing wrong or maybe turned a corner too fast or went through a yellow light right before it turned red. When Black people get murdered at the hands of the police, we, meaning Black, don't think it's a random case. Our first instinct as Black people is always, that could have been me. It could have been our fathers, mothers, cousins, uncles, aunts, and friends. We don't have the luxury to be exempt from death by police. We have a long history in this country with it. It's in our DNA, and no one should have to hold that much trauma in their body, currently or generationally. But as a Black woman in America, my body holds many traumatic memories, including those that I've seen and those that have been passed down to me. All Black and brown people do. The sudden wake up call that white America experienced in the next few days after the murder of George Floyd threw me and others off guard. I, as well as many other content creators, started speaking out about the disparities in our niches. From calling out big brands to influencers, it was our time to tell the truth or what was really happening behind the scenes. Wow. As a Black woman in the spirituality and self help space, I was angry with what went on social media and talked about my gripes and frustrations about not being seen in the sphere. And then I started receiving DMs from people in my industry who hadn't reached out before, even people whom I'd invited on my podcast and never responded. It felt as if they wanted to right years of wrongs with a direct message. It was almost as though for the last 200 years, they saw nothing wrong with what was happening in the world, and now they needed to come together and support us. This was the most heartbreaking part of this traumatic event. The performance of non-people of color, from corporations to influencers, the Black Square, the social media break for a week to shine a light on Black and brown creators. I remember a creator saying, make sure y'all keep that same energy with the dust huddles, and the dust has settled and we are back to normal. I want to pause right here. Thank you, AC, if you can hear me. The dust has settled. And not only are we back to normal, we done went back, okay? And talking to an elder, they reminded me that in my body and in my DNA, I know what this is like. But for many of you, the real visceral fear of what we are looking at, it is real and it is scary, and we are dysregulated and our nervous systems are a hot mess, and you don't know if you want to go have a drink or go order like a large pizza from your favorite pizza spot, shout out Rosati's, and enjoy a deep dish slice of deep dish pizza. It's just too much. We have returned back to normal. And a lot of us have been saying this since 2021. Wait a minute, we done went back. But now the world shows you we have gone back. But I'm just here to say, I had to pause just for a second when I read AC's words. On the physical plane, we've gone back. But in our souls and spirits, like in our minds, we can actually tell ourselves, but we ain't going back. So if you rewind and watch what I said about pronouns, that is my declaration of I ain't going back. If you came to me and told me your name was such and such, and this is your pronouns, and you prefer to be called this, I'm going to do what you asked me to do. Because no one's going to tell me to take my voice away that I can't honor your request as another human being. I ain't going back. Is it scary that on paper they want us to go back? Absolutely. But in the spiritual space, I'm going to honor you because that is your request, to be honored in your full humanity because you believe that this is who you are. I will do that. I don't sit in a big position to sign something and say no, blah blah. But if you come into community with me, and if you pursue the community that honors you where you are. Because from my lived experience, you could call me the N word, but baby, I'm the baddest N word you ever seen, and I've been called the N word. Y'all were all there when I came and told you the story of being at a casino being called a black B word. Call me what you want. But as Dr. Maya Angelou says, still I rise. They could go back. You can put back on paper, but baby, in my physical experience and my imagination, I don't have to go back with you. I honor you. We have to learn how to feel this fear and also stand up in self-love and communal love and say, that's what's up. That's cool. No problem. But I honor myself to know to stand in myself and in the truth of who I am. You want me to put that on paper? Okay, cool. In your reality, in your imagination, no problem. But in my reality and in my imagination, okay, cool. No problem. So I'm gonna keep reading this. I'm gonna keep reading this forward. We're gonna get through the forward today and then I'm gonna log out. Back to share the screen. I'm gonna find my PDF. That might be easier for y'all to see tomorrow than the double screen. All right, so we're at the top here on the left. All right, so it says, AC says, well, non-people of color are, but the rest of us still live in the world every day with harsh realities that, yes, we've made progress, but we have so far to go. Here we go. A few years before this tragedy, Maisha told me she was going to put all her energy into Check Your Privilege because she was passionate about educating non-people of color about the disparities in communities, government, religion, and workplaces. She was passionate but kept hitting brick walls. I remember late night phone calls filled with tears about what she was trying to do and how no one was hearing her. And at times she questioned what was the point. I would encourage her that her voice was needed to be heard. And Maisha was working in a religious space and would talk about how racism is so strong in Christianity, and it was making her sick. Her mental health was being jeopardized daily, and it was hard for her most days. Her experience at her job fueled her passion in doing this work. She was living for what she was talking about. Pause. So I did not know my experience was Christian nationalism until 48 hours ago. So on Monday, our community, the Heal Your Way Forward Collective, our community, we had a beloved community day in honor of Dr. King. And we were all just talking. And then somebody was like, yeah, Christians and like, yeah, Christian nationalism. And I'm like, Christian nationalism? So when I read the words that AC put in the book of Heal Your Way Forward, I'm like, oh, that was Christian nationalism. So it's so wild when we say as Black and brown creators, when we say, listen to our stories, believe our lived experience. Sometimes in that lived experience, we don't have the words to describe it. I didn't have the words until 48 hours ago. I've just been saying Christianity, right? But it's actually Christian nationalism. Ain't that wild? Isn't it wild how you can read a story? And that's what's so beautiful about being in community. Being in community, even if you're scared or worried, being in community, you start to slowly get the words. You start to slowly get the words that name your experiences. Because there's one thing to name your experience, and this is the CYP Collective. If you copy this link here, if you want to join our Heal Your Way Forward Collective, when you are an individual and you're doing the work, like one-on-one therapy, cool, you're doing the work. But when you are in community and collective and you hear each other's stories about like how you've navigated things like Christian nationalism, etc., right? Like, oh, that's what my experience was. So reading in real time with y'all too, reading AC's words with you all, because this is community. There are, I don't know how many people watching this or watching even the replays. Thank you for watching this. I'm in community. Like, and it's so wild to like be in a space to like, oh, she was it for my writing. I can tell my writing is developing because I would say Christianity, but it's actually Christian nationalism, because it was the Christian nationalism in my lived experience growing up in white spaces and PWI, predominantly white institutions, that has fueled all the work that I do. And I just wanted to just stop for a second. So as I read Heal Your Way Forward for the next few weeks, so it's going to be a few weeks, as I read uh, Heal Your Way Forward out loud, we're going to be having some aha community moments in real time. And so thank you for this. There's a couple things from Instagram I want to share on the screen really quick. Someone says, as I was reading AC's, we went back and we have to heal our way forward. It's our choice that we have to come together and resist and hold space for others in this life. Absolutely. Like, this is what we're doing. We are healing our way forward. I think we have a Heal Our Way Forward coloring book coming out. When that comes out, I'll make sure you guys can get access to it. But absolutely, that was my TED Talk. So unreal. Heal Our Way Forward was the TED Talk that I gave. It's just unreal. I'm having real time revelations in this moment. So that's why I love to, a lot of times I'll like, I'm going to do this. And I just do it. I'm a generator. And if my gut tells me to do it, I do it. So this was a gut instinct to come and do this with you all. But I'm really loving some of the comments I'm seeing on Instagram as we do this work together. And then there was a book recommendation. I heard about this book, and I'm going to try to put it on the screen as well. It's called Jesus and John Wayne, and it's a book about Christian nationalism. What I do want to say is, when I was still working at the church, we had a book club. And the last book that we started reading was Rescuing the Cowboys from the Gospel. And I actually do want to read this book again. It was called Jesus and John Wayne. Fascinating. So yeah, as we're actually moving into this time, maybe we need to just do public book clubs together. Why not? Not that I got that much time, but we got to figure it out. All right, so we're going to read a little bit more from Heal Your Way Forward. And then I'm going to, okay, so I just shared how AC shared her experience, and then she talks about how I was doing Check Your Privilege and educating white body folks, and like nobody was showing up. In fact, there's a Medium article from 2019, right before 2020, and I've called AC. I can't, all my friends, Black, brown, Southeast Asian, South Asian, crying like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. And then I started talking about ghosting. And I was like, oh, it's like being ghosted when you're dating someone, you get ghosted. And it's so many times that I felt that these folks like ghosted me, white body people. I'm like, damn, y'all always ghosting. And then over time, I start seeing other cultures ghosting me too. And I'm like, damn, so I have to learn how not to take it personal. Because one of the things that you have to learn in the social justice space is don't take it personal. You might be fighting against a system. That shit's exhausting. I don't fight shit no more. But because I'm healing my way forward in collective community. Yeah, it's like you can't take nothing personal. Like when they do stuff, like what I see is happening in real time, because remember, I can't say certain things. When I see what I'm seeing in the United States of America, I can't take it personal because it dysregulates my nervous system. And I go straight to, as a human design generator, what we finna do? Let's go. Let's get in community. Let's go. Let's make sure the community is accessible. Let's make sure, okay, we need captions. Cool. Like, I don't know how to put captions on this thing, but when I re-upload it and re-edit it, I can make sure that my intern, also known as my oldest son, can make sure that there's captions on here. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Anyway, we're reading Heal Your Way Forward out loud. So I just talked about how I was calling AC crying. My job in the church was making me sick. I was pointing out, man, I worked in the church, and I'd be like, but Jesus says this, but we doing this. Sometimes I don't think the folks could stand me. If you're watching me, maybe it was just my own. I was like, these people don't like me, because it's like, if Jesus says this, why are we doing that? Like literally. Or it was like, for example, being a deacon. Oh, story time now to turn into reading the book to story time. We're going to get back to the book. So here's another example that in the church, like we would say this and then do that. Or I remember just helping form the deacons at the church. I'm a deacon. I'm ordained. I don't practice anymore. Anyway, and I remember we were talking about when people come to the church and ask for help, what's the protocol? And I'm like, what you mean a protocol? I was so irritated. I'm like, what you mean we need a protocol? We need a protocol to help people? Like, and I'm like, okay, so how about this? How about we just get a little spreadsheet, get their name, get what they going through? And I'm like, what's aftercare look like? Like, it took me from being upset because they wanted a protocol because it's an organization, it's a nonprofit, and they have to track and like whatever. But like, yeah, they have to know like, oh, people don't have an income. Like, and then we just squash it. I'm like, no, we can't do that. If somebody went to Jesus for help, did Jesus say, what's the protocol? You think Jesus would have turned? Somebody was blind, and needed Jesus to heal them. Jesus was going to turn to the 12 disciples. What's the protocol? How are we going to help this person? No, Jesus was like, watch this, bam, and then he was like, you could do it too. That's the kind of church I'm into. Like, that's me. You know what I'm saying? And this is not church, but it's still into me. But it's like, I don't remember Jesus telling somebody, all right, I need you to prove me your income. I need your income tax return. I need for you to, like, I remember, like, we ain't doing that. We gonna figure it out. And shout out to my pastor at the time. My pastor was like, yeah, well, let's just keep it simple. Let's just help people. And I think that's why I'm always on this platform. Like, when I see mutual aid, hey, let's just help people. If you got it, if you don't got it, just share it. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a difference. But like, I don't never remember Jesus saying, like, somebody saying, oh, well, there are some times he was like, okay, you want me to help you go do this? Like, he would test people's faith. But I don't remember Jesus saying to people, show me your proof that you need help, or getting like, and this is messages for me. I didn't see Jesus looking at the disciples like, what y'all think? Jesus stood on business. You know what I'm saying? And I think that is what's so powerful as I'm having this in real time, as I'm starting to check your privileges. I'm calling my friend AC, who wrote the forward, as I'm thinking about my work in real time. And even me saying Jesus stood on business and didn't ask for permission from the 12 disciples, I be struggling to make a decision in my real life. Be calling my friends like, what y'all think? And they be like, you already know what you think. And it's only one friend I'm talking about. She like, you already know, I ain't telling you. You know what I'm saying? And I like that push. I like when my friends say, you already know. And that's for all of you all watching this. A lot of us are like in real visceral fear. Let's not deny that. But we call them like, oh my God, what do you know? If you come to me with like, what we gonna do? I'm gonna say, what are you passionate about? Go within and come back and tell me your answer. Because that's what this work is about. So calling, going back, we're still reading Heal Your Way Forward. We're gonna get through this forward. I think I got 2 more pages, and then we're gonna come back tomorrow with the introduction. So I'm calling AC, I'm crying. I'm telling AC Brown, like, oh my God, I'm about to start this thing with white bodied folks to educate them. And she was like, okay. And then I'm calling her, telling her about my stuff with my job at the church and serving the church and being a deacon and stuff not matching. And then we get to this part at the end where AC says, my experiences at my job fuel my passion for the work. I was living what I was talking about. So AC says, this is AC's voice. I felt her pain and I knew what it was like to have to keep your mouth closed in order to survive at a job that clearly doesn't have your best interests at heart. And for every one of my federal employees watching this live right now, my heart goes out to you. Okay? Y'all need to y'all need to pre-order the paperback of Heal Your Way Forward. Sit that on your desk. No, don't sit it on your desk. But there's certain things I need to teach. White body people need to know how to move in certain spaces. Certain things you don't want to do. That's all I want to say, because there's always a snitch. Okay. So AC says, I felt her pain and I knew what it was like to have to keep your mouth closed in order to survive at the job that clearly doesn't have your interest at heart. It is unfair that when things are blatantly racist at work, you feel your livelihood is on the line. Being quiet doesn't fix the problem, but speaking up is so risky. And that is the reality for many Black, Indigenous, and Brown folk. Black, Indigenous, and Brown folk in the workplace have had to silence ourselves in spaces that are predominantly white so we don't seem like troublemakers. I would tell her to keep fighting, keep educating, and she good, and thanks goodness she did. These are the words of AC Brown. AC then says, Maisha kept fighting for awareness around these issues, and she finally began to receive it. And yet there is still much work to be done. There are still so many eyes that haven't been opened. But how do we do this work without breaking our backs, educating white people? How do we make change without becoming the morality police? I truly don't know. But I know that it starts with inclusion, including more Black and Brown folks in spaces that are predominantly white, such as conferences, corporate boards, educational boards, and politics. We need to be seen in these spaces because our voices matter. But our counterparts have to be willing to go against the grain and include us. They have to invite us in. I'm going to come back to that. It's time for healing, but what most white people need to know is that there's no prize for healing change. Many speak of inclusion, but are you yourself ready to be inclusive? Because in order to do this work, there must be a radical transparency. There must be a willingness to make real change that involves action. Is this possible? Yes, but only for those who are ready to leave behind the old constructs that don't benefit Black and Brown people. And for this, Maisha, that's me, has answers. She has the answers to help the non-performance of change, because an anti-racist future looks like non-people of color extending helping hands and making their resources available to us. It includes being open to hearing about the disparities without being defensive. It means that non-people of color, people healing their own biases about Black and Brown folks and choosing to do better and not just talking about it. Maisha, that's me, is working toward helping us all heal and have an understanding of what that looks like for both sides. She is educating, informing, and providing tools for change. She's shining a light on systemic racism. It's going to take time, just like anything, but it can be done. And it's going to take a collective effort. That starts with you reading this book. It starts with you calling out the people around you because you know better. So your responsibility is to do better. This is your moment to rewrite history and to be the change agent in this lifetime. Don't miss your opportunity to do so. Bookmark, I think. So that was our reading of Heal Your Way Forward. Tomorrow we're going to do the introduction. And it might be over 2 or 3 days. So that was our reading of Heal Your Way Forward, the Co-Conspirator's Guide to an Anti-Racist Future. Again, wanting to empower you, if you can, to go ahead and pre-order your paperback copy. You can listen to it on Spotify. Okay. All right. We're going forward. I'm going to read a couple of comments from Instagram. Those of you who are Facebook and YouTube, you can't see Instagram. One of the comments talks about how white supremacy within the church is harmful for all of us. Another person says that Donnell McClan is a phenomenal theologian to follow on social media. There's some tears here. And there's a comment that I want to highlight. I appreciate your comment, Julie. I might have to screen share Instagram next time so people can see who you are. But the comment on Instagram says, maybe I can stop screen sharing and shares. I don't know. It says, many people aren't ready to leave their privilege behind. And we absolutely know that's true, but we ain't waiting for them because we ain't going back. Listen, there is a Bible scripture. It's a lot of Bible talk going on today. I don't even know why. There's a story in the Bible, right? You know, God has his favorite in this country. I ain't going to name because that's going to be too close to Christian nationalism. So God got this homie named Lot, right? And God sends his angels, right, to the town, not Oakland. And God's like, hey, I need you angels to go holler at my boy Lot. Tell my boy Lot, hey, it's some shit that's about to pop off. I need you and your family to pack off and leave. But make sure you tell my homie Lot not to look back, because if you look back, y'all gonna turn into a pillar of salt, right? So Lot was like, the angels come knocking at the door like, hey, homie, God got a message for you. And this is what you gonna do, but don't look back because you're gonna turn into a pillar of salt, right? How did this turn into Bible study? I don't even know. Okay. I have no idea. It's always in me, right? So then Lot, they packing up, they moving because God finna destroy the town. They packing up, they running. He like, don't look back. Don't look back. Don't look back. And you know who looked back? His wife. And his wife looked back and turned into a pillar of salt. But Lot couldn't even look back at his wife. He had to keep going, knowing that his wife just turned into some damn salt. So could you imagine? Look at, like, the homies kept tell you not to look back, and like you like say, come on, y'all, go, we going forward. And then somebody in your squad look back and turn into something, but you gotta stop, you gotta stay forward and grieve, but keep moving. In the instance of social justice work, whatever y'all call it right now, it's some people, they gotta see you moving forward. You feel me? People have to see you moving forward. People have to see you moving forward. Now, I didn't tell, my version of that story about Lot and his wife to scare nobody, to say, don't go back and get nobody. But on your journey, your job is not to tell somebody, especially thank you, if they're unwilling. Your job is to live your life so boldly, so proudly, so freely, in such a way they be like, I want some of what you got. Let them get curious about your journey. That's what's wrong with folks, is you trying to tell people, come take this journey with me and let me educate you. It ain't your job to do that. Stop doing that, because it's not changing nobody, especially if they're over the age of 14. Why do I say 14? You remember what you was like as a teenager, and some adult was trying to tell you about something. You were like, oh, okay, right. You had to wait till you was about 35, damn near 40, for that advice that somebody told you at 14 showed up in your life. That's how it works. We can't keep telling people who are not ready for this journey to jump on board. Your job is to live into the work, and live into the work so boldly that it empowers people to want to shift and grow and heal, get curious, and ask you. And when they ask you, your job is to say, I've been reading this book, or educating, or I'm in community with X, Y, and Z, and this person got me here. Can I introduce you to them? Because then what some of y'all do is turn into experts, and y'all mailing out spreadsheets and give a couple resources, but point them to the Black and Indigenous and Southeast Asian and Asian who choose to lead this work. Send them in our direction. Live into the work doesn't mean you got to educate nobody, but stay in your lane and point them to who you've learned from, and invite them into those communities instead of you making spreadsheets and then building communities. Let me tell you something, people in white bodies, y'all be making spreadsheets and organizing and getting on Discord. Have you ever asked where all the Black and brown people are in your group? That's how you know y'all got work to do. You organizing and making spreadsheets, but where the Black and brown folks at? Are they being centered in their communities? Are you acting like saviorisms? Are you centering them as a performance? There's so much things that you have to think about, which is why it's important for you and your body to be like, let me slow down. My friend is asking me about my journey. Let me show her hood feminism. Let me tell her about this Patreon I'm in, and let's do it together versus me being the educator all of a sudden. I need y'all to slow down. Seriously. Because every time y'all organize, there are several groups of people you leave out: disabled and chronically ill, Black, Indigenous, Southeast Asian, and or you'll find them, but they in the same class system as you. So while you have them there, they have class adjacency to you, and you still forgetting poor Black folk. I didn't come on here to teach this morning. I did not come on here to teach this morning. I came to read Heal Your Way Forward. So do me a favor, if this was inspiring for you. One, I need you to pre-order the paperback version of Heal Your Way Forward. That's one. Two, I need you to share this live with a friend or subscribe on YouTube, Maisha T. Hill on YouTube. There's my name. And three, join our Heal Your Way Forward collective. I think, what meetups do we have this week? I don't want to tell all of our business. Tonight, I'm leading direct compassionate communication. We are going to be doing open self-empathy grief circles this weekend. So I'll get that up on Instagram sometime today. We also have Jewish members of our collective are meeting up. What else is coming up? Saturday school starts in February. It's a lot of shit popping. So stay tuned to Check Your Privilege. Get on our newsletter, because it's about to be on and popping, because we ain't going back. We healing our way forward, and we got the blueprint, baby. So I hope that this was helpful for you in your journey today. I hope that you got something out of it. Reading something from some Instagram comments before I go. We're at that one. We got we are together in this if they are unwilling. Someone shouted out Dr. Ibram Kendi's work. Absolutely. We got stay in your lane. Got some yeses. Someone says, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Yes, I just want to say, if you're a dude, a white dude, a person assigned male at birth, we got a little group for the dudes. So if you a white dude and you want to do the work with me, I think that link is up. I don't even know yet. I just got excited to read Heal Your Way Forward with you all. Edwin Nichols, Dr. Edwin Nichols quotes, white culture, we love counting and measuring. Yeah, y'all love spreadsheets. If I need a spreadsheet done, you know who I go to first? A white person. Because if I need a spreadsheet, what do you want to say? Y'all be putting in the cells of the data, and I just be like, oh, okay, I just need a template. Nah, but I love y'all. But yeah, we got to be being authentic and real. Lydia shares something I hear often in Orange County is, we got to stop talking about race, and then the problems will stop. Oh, you want me to? Oh, Lord, I didn't know we was going. Okay. something I hear in Orange County is we got to stop talking about it, race, and then problems will stop. What would you say to this kind of comment? If somebody told Maisha T. Hill we gotta stop talking about race, I'd be like, thank you for telling me how you feel. I'm about to heal my way forward. And I give them a copy of my book. I give them the free ebook. I give it to them on Spotify. I'd be like, here, keep going. Because that means that they're not unwilling. Get out of your freeze. Think of your actions. Somebody tells you, we just got to stop talking about it. You can start laughing. Let me tell y'all a story, and then I'm going to get off these streets. It's almost 9 o'clock. I did my hour. All right, let me tell y'all a story. So I had an elder call me, and she said, somebody said something about racism. Now, this is a Black woman. It's a little different. Somebody said something to her about something. And she said she started laughing. And the person got confused because she started laughing. To be honest with you, Lydia, like, that shit's funny as hell to me. If somebody says to me that racism is not real, I'm just going to laugh. Literally. And I said, how did you feel when you laughed? She's like, it just made me, it just brought up so much joy in my heart. Like, it made me feel so good, like, just to laugh, because my laughter was like, you lying. I ain't gonna pay attention to you. There's something childlike in laughing when people say things that we know is not true or that we might not agree with. So, Lydia, you or any of y'all watching this live or replay, all of us, somebody say some stuff you know that ain't true. Don't justify, argue, defend, or explain yourself. Just laugh. And if you got a copy of Heal Your Way Forward, hell, I might sign copies for you to give out to people when they say stuff like that. Just laugh, because you know it's not true. And we don't have time to keep letting our nervous systems get dysregulated when people say things we don't agree with, because our inner child will argue with somebody because we know it's true, because it's our truth. But if it's not their truth and they want us to stop, I just do what the elder did a couple weeks ago, was just to laugh. I just laugh like, oh, okay, bet. That okay. I would hella laugh, and they probably would look at you like you're crazy, like, what's so funny? Nothing. And you keep healing your way for it. We got to keep going. We ain't got time. We got to keep moving. We got to go with our community, like, who's raising money for mutual aid. Shout out to our LA and San Diego family. We don't have time to be sitting up here with these folks. We got to have joy in our journey. And that's why I said laugh. I don't argue with people who don't believe what I believe. I actually enjoy conversations with people who don't believe what I believe, because you actually learn a lot about yourself and your judgments. Keeping it real. All right. Well, I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me today. Pre-order your paperback copy of Heal Your Way Forward. I think it's possible for me to stay consistent with 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time daily. I'll be reading this book until we're complete, at least through March 11th, because that's when the paper book comes out. Pre-order a copy for your friends, your moms, your cousins, your aunties, or you can join our Heal Your Way Forward collective. We're constantly updating, links in the bio. Our team is like getting a little burnt out because I done came back from break with energy and still thriving with long COVID. So there's that. But much love to you guys. And until I come back on these internet streets, keep living into your work. Peace and have a great day.